2:37. I'm driving away from my parents' house. It's Mother's Day weekend, so I spent a lot of time over there. I knew I was going to go over there twice, and I wound up having to because I had to finish mowing today, but the mower fired up and it ran the whole time I needed it to. It ran like a champ, so that was good. So I got on here I don't know, it was fun just now. I sat around and talked to my mom and dad about the time when they were first dating. My mom, met my dad. I don't know. I wanted to remind myself of all the things she said, but let me think now. So she graduated high school, and then she worked for 1 year for an insurance company, and she said that job was so boring she couldn't stand it, so she quit that job. And then she went to college for a year. She said that her church offered her a scholarship to go to Carthage College. I think it was a Christian college. And so she went just for a year to have the experience. And she met a boy there and had a boyfriend like the whole year. And I think his name was Johnny. I remember that. But he was a Methodist minister, or he was gonna be. And she didn't want to marry a minister. She just knew that wasn't her path. So she told him that. And so she just told me she got kind of mad at him because he broke up with her before the end of the school year because she had told him that she didn't want to marry him. She didn't want to stay with him forever. And so he broke up with her. And she said she was mad at him because he took away her last month, she said. She could have enjoyed her last month at school, the way she'd enjoyed the rest of the year, but instead she had to be alone or go with the girls, and not have dates. So I thought that was kind of funny that she blamed him for that. Of course he's going to want to break up with her if she tells him she's not going to want to stay. So that was kind of interesting. So then, after 1 year at college, she belonged to a choir, and they took the trip along with the choir. She took a trip along with the choir to Denver. And then, of course, that's when she met my dad. And he was driving a tour bus up to Estes Park. So he picked them up at Union Station downtown, I think. And so, took them all up to Estes Park, and on the way back home, my mom and her friend, her girlfriend, or might have been a relative actually that she came out here with, I'm not sure. Anyway, they sat right behind my dad's seat so they could hear him better. He's always been pretty soft-spoken, of course, my dad. So anyway, that's how she met my dad. And then when she went home from that trip, she knew she wanted to come back to Denver to be with him. Well, here's like one of my favorite views. Not as nice as it used to be because of that bridge they put in there, but still it's a nice view. So anyway, then she had a job where she had to give a month's notice. So she gave her notice right away as soon as she got back to Denver. And so she only was in Rockford for another month. And then she came out here to Denver, and she came out with, now this is when she was with maybe it was a cousin, or I don't know if it was just a schoolmate or somebody else had some reason to come out here. So they came out together, and they lived in a house with a bunch of girls. And then she said, so she got here on the train, and Dad picked her up, and it was before noon, she said. It was like 10:30 in the morning or something, her train arrived. And so that night, he was picking her up again. He brought her to that house where she was going to be living. And that night, he came and picked her up for dinner. And everybody asked him as they were walking away from the house, well, where are you going for dinner? And it was a restaurant that was called Top of the Park. and it was the Park Hotel, and the whole top floor was the restaurant. It was supposed to be a really fancy place, but Dad said it really wasn't that expensive. You know, it was a really pretty good deal. So, but all of my mom's friends were really impressed when he told them that he was taking her to the top of the park. I guess that was a pretty good place. So anyway, that was their first date. And I don't know, I think it sounded like it was more than a year that they were, you know, dating before they decided to get married. And when they did get married, they went to Rockford to get married. Dad had lived there too, you know, so he knew the town. And so anyway, they went to Rockford to get married, and they were staying with my grandparents, my mom's parents. And, you know, my mom didn't find out until way later. But it turns out my mom was actually an illegitimate child, was conceived before her parents were married. They were married by the time she was born, but, you know, technically that's still not okay, right? So anyway, making it all the way across. So then they came to Rockford to get married, and apparently my mom's mom, my grandma, was kind of assuming that because my mom was so adventurous to go off and live somewhere else, she said that her parents had never gone anywhere, and not even to travel. They'd never really gone away from, I don't know, my grandpa's past or anything like that. But as far as since they'd been married, they never went anywhere. So for her to leave and move to Denver was pretty adventurous, you know. And so when they came back to Rockford to get married, it sounds like my grandma was assuming that my mom was pregnant. And my mom said when they came back for the wedding, it was like the day before the wedding, and my mom was so disgusted because her period started. And she was complaining about it. She said, oh, I tried to plan this thing so, you know, so it would be on not during my period. And, you know, oh, she was so disgusted that her period started. And her mom was thrilled. There couldn't have been any more blessed occurrence for the visit than the onset of my mom's period, as far as my grandma was concerned, I guess. So anyway, that's a nice story. And so anyway, they got married there, and look at that, they're still married, and it's been 60 years now. 61. They've been together they've been married for 61 years, so they've known each other for 63 or so, I guess. So alright, so there's the whole story. I did a pretty good job. I think I remembered pretty much everything. So, alright, bye.